Next, you're going to write your interview for your welcome or trailer episode. I call this episode 0. I think it's important to record a welcome or trailer episode that tells the listener what your podcast is about, how it came about, introduce yourself. If this is a podcast for your business, share about your business and your qualifications and what you do. This is also the episode that will be submitted for approval to Apple Podcasts, as they do require an approval process. We will go over that further in week 3. This tends to be a very short episode compared to the rest, but it will depend on what your podcast is. I've listened to podcasts that were daily 5-minute meditations or morning encouragement, or even 10 quick minutes of news episodes. But most tend to be more informational and conversational, and therefore longer than that. So going back to the welcome episode, this will most likely be a shorter episode, maybe around 10 to 15 minutes, potentially maybe even shorter. If you're good at speaking off the cuff, then hit record and go at it. If you're nervous and you're more like me, I need to script everything out. Or perhaps you are in between and all you need are bullet points to remind yourself of some of the things that you want to touch on. I encourage you to write an interview script that you can use for every episode, whether you're having a guest or you're doing a solo episode. I'm going to show you what that looks like now. It's included in your workbook, so you can go ahead. I believe it's in page 14. So I'm going to go ahead and open that up. So this interview script, which is in your workbook, you can copy and paste it into a separate document, a Google Doc that you can keep and duplicate each time. But it would include your episode number, your episode title, the date you plan for it to go live. I also include a section for potential titles because sometimes I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to title it. And then I like to play around with wording and titles. So I do a list of titles here and then a short description. This is basically what will become your show notes that you're going to use when you upload it to your podcast platform and to your website. I also always include the links that are going to go with each show notes. That would be like your social media platforms, your email address, a website. If you don't have a website, you can always use the podcast page that comes with the podcasting platform, like Libsyn has a podcasting page that you can use as potentially as your website. And then I also like to include the Apple Podcast link, which is very long. So I like to use a bit.ly link. Then I have a little section in case I have a guest. Then that would be the name of the guest, their bio, their links, maybe even email and phone number, whatever you need to keep yourself organized. And then any questions that I want to ask that particular guest. And then I have a section for research or to actually script out my podcast. If it's a particular subject that I want some information on or statistics on, then I will spend the time to do research and pull some resources that I want to talk about in the episode. This is where I write all that out. And I write my script because I'm not really good at speaking off the cuff, so I do need a script. And this is also a really great place here to add resources. If you're going to have a resource section, then I would encourage you to write that in here, and then you can link all your resources there. If you have affiliate links that you want to include, if you want to include the guests links and where they can be found, this is where it would go as well. Okay, well, that concludes writing your interview script. Like I said, to keep yourself organized, make copies of it and make a new one for each new episode to keep yourself organized. It also helps once you actually have a VA to help you, then this is a really good document that you can both use and access. So your VA knows what your title is, what the resources are, everything is in one place. Or if your VA helps you do the production and the scheduling, this is all a document that you could both use to keep yourselves organized and start creating processes from the very beginning so that later on it doesn't become a huge problem. This is a really great way to stay organized. All right, I hope that is helpful and I will see you in the next module.